I'll let the loud truck get out of the way. Hey, it's Chris from chrisbeatcancer.com, and I'm here with my friend Bill Henderson, the one and only author of Cancer Free, Your Guide to Gentle, Non-Toxic Healing. Did I get the title right?
You got that exactly right, Chris.
So this is one of my favorite books, and it is definitely a must-have in your library of anti-cancer educational materials. And so it was really a thrill. Bill and I have corresponded, I don't know, over the last couple of years, or whatever.
We've been in touch for several times. But, hadn't really had a chance to spend any time with you.
You never met in person. We got to have breakfast yesterday, and it was really, really great. And so I was able to wrangle him over here to do a little interview for you. So without telling your whole backstory, I could summarize it pretty quickly, but you lost your wife to cancer.
Yeah, this was almost 20 years ago. She passed away in '94. Had 4 years of conventional cancer treatment that just convinced me that there had to be a better way to deal with cancer than that. Several operations and lots of chemo. And she went downhill and died a horrible death, really.
A lot of suffering.
Yeah, lots of suffering. And I said, there's got to be something better than this. I didn't really discover it until about 4 years later that there was so much information around even then on the internet about natural healing cancer and things that we've just, really researched since then. But in those 16 years, I've learned a lot about cancer. Most of it, strangely enough, I've learned from people who heal themselves, both those who have worked with me, where I've helped them heal themselves. These are coaching clients, I call them, and people who have documented their own healing, like you. Believe me, folks, there is lots of information around now about that. Even 16 years ago, there was enough to catch my interest and attention. And what I'm trying to do, obviously, Chris, is help as many people avoid my late wife's fate as possible. That's what I'm here for. Yeah.
What prompted you to do that? Because there's a lot of people out there who have lost loved ones to cancer and saw them suffer and saw firsthand that the treatments are often worse than the disease.
Mm-hmm.
What was different about you that kind of sent you on this quest to read and research and ultimately write a book?
Well, I don't know. I think initially it was a fairly simple process to put together an e-book. The internet was just getting off the ground then, and I published a relatively short e-book, kind of summarizing what I learned in 2000. Well, I've learned a whole lot in those 14 years since then. But at least it got a start. It got me communicating with people literally around the world on the internet. And I got all kinds of, inspiration from literally people who said, if I'd just known, what you're talking about now, I wouldn't have had to go through all of the conventional treatment I did, but that I've healed myself. And these people, it really inspired me to get this message out to as many people as possible. I don't think whatever you and I do, it's probably never going to be possible to completely reverse the conventional treatment system of cancer. There's too much money involved in it, for one thing. But at least the message is getting out, I think. The people I talk to these days, there are at least 20 to 30% of them who have completely avoided conventional treatment, because of their knowledge that they gained even before or shortly after the cancer diagnosis. They've managed to avoid the things that kill most cancer patients, which is simply the treatment of cancer, not the cancer itself.
Don't you think a lot of patients, one of the biggest challenges or problems or, the really tragedies is that so many people don't understand they have options and that the body can heal, and that when they're diagnosed, they're just rushed into treatment, and they really don't have time to think or read or research or do anything. And that's what I know your mission and mine are the same, because we're trying to reach people before they're diagnosed,
I do.
So that they can at least have some semblance of reference or foundation that there are other options besides what your doctor is allowed to prescribe.
Yeah.
So can we talk about that, the difference between nutrition and natural healing in that world and the conventional medical model?
Yeah, they're really two great basic models of cancer, as I've discovered, Chris. One, of course, is the medical model, as you mentioned. Doctors get trained. Most people don't realize it, but doctors are not educated. They're trained. Okay, I know lots of MDs and other types of doctors. Many of the MDs I know have broken out of that mold and become wonderful holistic physicians. You know, they treat people instead of diseases. But what they're taught in medical school is basically that all chronic degenerative conditions, cancer is just one of them, that they need to be attacked with all of this armament that they're taught about. Essentially cancer to the doctors represents an enemy that's invaded your body and has to be attacked. Well, they have obviously several sources of armament. One is cutting this thing out of your body, as they did to you, disposing of it. The others have to do with burning it with radiation, which of course causes other cancers and causes all kinds of damage to healthy cells and so on. And then poisoning your body with chemotherapy. Well, it's not therapy, believe me, folks. It's poison. That's where chemotherapy originated after World War I, literally as mustard gas and so on. They discovered that it also killed cancer cells. Well, imagine.
Mustargen is still a chemo drug, by the way. It's called Mustargen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and mustard gas is illegal to use in warfare now.
Unreal. Yeah,
they can't even use it in warfare, but they can use it as a chemo drug.
Yeah, not in medical warfare. Well, so they're creating a war on this enemy that's invaded your body, and they don't try to determine what caused this. Well, when you treat symptoms like they do, you don't deal with the cause of the problem, and it recurs in almost every case. And almost all these 5,000 plus people I've talked to before they come to me, not 100% anymore, thank God, but many of them have been through this medical nonsense about cancer, and they've woken up finally and realized that this isn't working, the cancer comes back and so on, and they start something like we describe in our book, a regimen of some kind of changing their lifestyle and so on. The model of cancer that I've discovered, and I think you have too, as far as I know, is simply that it is a temporary imbalance in our body, basically. Cancer, I like the expression, cancer is us, okay? Cancer occurs in your body today. You've been through an experience with it where you had to be treated for it and so on, but it's still occurring in your body and my body and everybody's body every single day. Cancer cells are just part of normal cell metabolism, and they occur hundreds of thousands or millions of them in our bodies every single day. Well, what is cancer, quote unquote, as we generally think about it? Well, it's a discovery that the cancer cells being produced have exceeded the ability of our immune system to handle them. That's all it is. It's basically a fact that your immune system, which at the time you got the cancer, had been challenged by something.
Yeah, overloaded.
Yeah.
Or suppressed.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it couldn't handle the number of cancer cells, and they accumulate somewhere. There are lots of theories about why they accumulate in a particular organ. They're interesting theories, but none of them have been proven completely. But some organ demonstrates a lump, a bump of some kind, a cancer tumor. 90% of the time it presents itself as some kind of a tumor. The other 10% are cancers that don't involve a tumor, melanoma, lymphoma, leukemia, things that are the same thing, an excess of cancer cells. They're circulating in your body, and they settle on the skin or somewhere, and they may not form a tumor. But it's the same problem. It's an overwhelming number of cells beyond what your immune system can handle. Well, that doesn't mean that there are more cancer cells being produced. It may mean that the immune system itself was what was suppressed. As you mentioned, the balance between your immune system and the cancer cells are the way we stay healthy. And you cannot get cancer as a diagnosis, as you did with a strong immune system that's working correctly. It's impossible.
And
Yep.
that, of course, the crazy thing is that we're destroying the patient's immune system when we treat them, right?
Does it make any sense to you? I mean, to me, all people need is common sense. If they can get away from the blind trust in doctors that we all sort of learn from toddlerhood, that somehow the doctor has the answer, fix me, doctor, and so on. If they can get away from that and just do enough research to realize that this is a problem that can be reversed by anyone at almost any point in the development of cancer, if they just get information. I'm convinced that cancer deaths are all attributable to lack of information.